Did you know some agents work both sides of the deal, doubling their commission while putting your interest at risk when you're buying your first home? Finding a trustworthy real estate agent can feel overwhelming, especially when you're making one of the biggest financial decisions of your life. You want someone who will guide you through the process, saving you time, money, and stress. But the real question is, can you trust them? It's completely natural to feel uneasy when putting so much trust in someone when there's so much on the line. And the good news is, there are ways to spot an agent who's genuinely in your corner, someone who will fight for your best interests. And I've worked with countless realtors, and I've learned exactly what to look for. So I'm going to show you all the things that you need to watch out for to make sure that you find an agent you can rely on, avoid the wrong ones, and feel confident in your decision. Okay, the first problem is listing agents who often try to represent both you, the buyer, and the seller at the same time. So this is what's called dual agency, and here's why it's a problem. Typically, an agent representing the seller might earn around 3% commission, but when they represent both sides, that number can jump up to 6%. Even if they negotiate it down to, let's say, 4 or 5%, they're still making more money, and that split loyalty can leave your interest at risk while opening them up to more liability. And even if the seller might negotiate that down to 4 or 5% commission, that agent is still making more money, but that comes at the cost of split loyalty between the seller and you. So this often happens when you don't already have a real estate agent. So let's say you find a house you like, you call the agent who's listing the home, and they're happy to work with you because they can represent both sides and get paid more on one transaction closing. So here's the solution, is you always want to work with your own buyer's agent. If a listing agent offers to show you a home, politely but firmly let them know, hey, you've got your own representation. Even if you don't, you can go ahead and go find your own buyer's agent. This ensures that someone is fully dedicated to protecting your interests and not just their bottom line. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Kyle Seagraves. I'm a licensed loan officer. Our team works in 49 states, so all states except for New York. And I believe that the best way to win the house you love is to first start with a solid team that's going to work for you. And the way that you do that is step one, you want to go ahead and get pre-qualified. So getting pre-qualified helps you make sure that you know exactly how much you can afford and that you have the money ready to be able to purchase the home when you find the one that you love. And so our team, again, works in 49 states except for New York. And if you happen to be in New York, we can refer you to a great loan officer. So our job is to help you pick the best loan. And what you can do is go to winthehouseyoulove.com to get started with your application there. It really is a lot simpler than people think. We're just looking for some quick bits of information so we can match you with the right loan type, get you that pre-qualification. That way you can go start shopping for houses. And then step two in building your team is find an agent who's going to fight for you and help you be able to negotiate the best offer. And so we have a referral network that works in all cities across the US. If you go to winthehouseyoulove.com/agent, you can be connected with a helpful agent that's going to work for you. All right, here's another tactic to watch out for. Listing agents may pressure you to increase your offer even when they know that you already have the strongest bid. So one common method is they'll ask for all buyers to submit their what's called highest and best. And so this is a term that if you've already been looking at homes, you're probably super exhausted of hearing. So they ask for the highest and best offer to drive up the sales price, even if there's no real competition. So for example, imagine a home, let's say it's listed at $300,000, and you submit a bid to buy that home for $300,000. So let's say the listing agent also has offers, let's say one at $290,000 and one at $295,000. So even though your offer is already the highest, they might email all of the agents of the other buyers and say, hey, the seller is making a decision by 5 p.m. tonight. Please submit your highest and best offer. So this creates the impression that there are higher bids than yours, even when that's not the case, pressuring you to bid against yourself because they don't have to disclose what those other offers are. So you're stuck saying, well, now I feel pressure. There might be another higher bid. We might have to go higher, even though that's not the case. So to protect yourself, consider using what's called an escalation clause. Okay, so an escalation clause, for instance, what you could do is you could agree to beat any legitimate competing offer by, let's say, $2,000 increments up to a maximum of $310,000, okay, in that example. But only if the listing agent provides proof of those offers. That way you stay competitive without falling for tactics designed to inflate the price unnecessarily. So this is something that your real estate agent can set up for you when you're making these offers. That way you can submit a bid, let's say at the asking price for that home, but maybe you have some flexibility to, again, go up to maybe $310,000. And so you're willing to go higher, but only if you see other contracts. And it will actually have a clause saying that you get to see the other contracts if they've beaten you out. Okay, another tactic to watch out for is listing agents may try to create a false impression that a home is newly listed, even when it's been on the market for a while. So properties can stay on the market for an extended periods when buyer interest is low, which often leads to more aggressive buyers submitting even lower offers because they see the seller, they want to sell their home and it's been sitting on the market for a long time. So what qualifies as a long time on the market varies depending on location, but listing agents know that a high days on market, you'll also see that referred to as DOM, the high days on market numbers can make buyers hesitate because they wonder, why has this home been sitting on the market for so long? Why haven't people been on this home, or why hasn't it been taken up already? To counter this, some agents will temporarily remove a listing for a week or so to reset the days on market counter, misleading new buyers into thinking the home is fresh on the market. So the solution here is to do your research. You want to check the property's complete price history or ask your agent to look it up. And so this is pretty easy to look at online. Even on sites like Zillow usually show price history, and your agent has a really easy access to look this up as well. A high days on market can signal an opportunity for price negotiations, especially if the home has struggled to attract serious offers, meaning that you could put in a lower bid that might get accepted by that seller. Here's another big mistake to avoid is making an offer on a home without knowing if the price is backed by market data. If your agent isn't walking you through this, you could end up overpaying for the home that you want. So how do you know? How do you determine what is the true value of this home? It all comes down to recent sales of similar properties, and these are often called comparables. That's kind of the real estate lingo for that. These give you a clear picture of what the home is actually worth based on the market. So what your agent can do is create a report that's going to show you what comparable homes have sold for. That way you don't overbid or overpay for that home. You actually have a price that you are offering for that home that's supported by real data. So the solution here is before you make an offer, ask your agent for what's called a comparative market analysis or a CMA. This report compares the property to similar homes that have recently sold, helping you determine if your offer is fair and competitive. Okay, this is a hugely overlooked issue, but some agents fail to check whether a home is likely to pass an appraisal before you submit an offer. So loan appraisals don't just evaluate the home's value, they also include a property condition inspection. Now, this is not the same thing as a home inspection that you should be getting. What it does is it makes sure that the lender is comfortable with the actual condition of the home, that it's not falling apart. That way the lender doesn't lose money in the process of lending you money. So if the home doesn't meet the lender's requirements, the deal could fall apart, leaving you out the cost of the appraisal, which depending on the market can be anywhere from $600 to $700, and even a little bit higher in more higher cost of living areas. And sometimes addressing these issues are as simple as a phone conversation. Your agent might notice a potential issue and discuss it with the loan officer, or in some cases, they can even send pictures to the loan officer for them to review. So while your loan officer isn't an appraiser and can't catch everything from pictures or just a description, they can often help you flag potential concerns ahead of time. This gives you a much clearer picture of what might become an issue before you make an offer and run into trouble. I can't tell you the amount of times that someone has made an offer on a home and then it's very clear that the home has maybe window panes that are completely busted, chipping paint, or maybe there's not even simple things as handrails. Sometimes I've even seen exposed wiring hanging down from the ceiling. These are all pretty easy fixes, and they let an appraiser come out anyway before those things got fixed. And of course, the appraiser had an issue with it. And if the agent just asked the lender, hey, is this going to be an issue before the appraisal came or before the appraiser came, then it would have been easy to delay the appraisal, have those things get fixed, and then have the appraiser come. But instead, the buyer ends up having to front the cost of that appraisal. The deal may fall through, but then there's also that reinspection cost if the deal is able to go through, where the appraiser has to come out again and make sure all the fixes were completed. So the solution here is you want to ask your agent to discuss the property condition concerns with your loan officer before you make an offer. That way you can make sure you save the time and money by identifying these issues before they become a problem. All right, a frustrating problem to watch for is some agents may deprioritize working with you. Essentially, they're putting you on the back burner. And this can happen if your price point is lower than they'd prefer, or maybe they think your expectations are unrealistic. But here's the thing, no matter what the circumstance, your agent should communicate clearly. You deserve better than being ghosted or tossed up into an automated MLS listing feed with no real follow-up, which is a really easy way to tell if you're getting put on the back burner in that way. So if you get put on, an MLS drip where you just get a daily list of homes that meet your search criteria, but you never actually hear from your agent, they don't check in on you, they don't actually help to see if you want to go to open houses or nail down your concerns a little bit more. If you're just getting put on this effectively email list of home updates as they hit the market, it's very possible that you're put on the back burner. So the solution here is a good agent is going to take the time to understand your needs and maintain open, honest communication. If they feel like you're not the right fit, they should respectfully tell you up front and not leave you guessing. And that's fair. There's some agents who specialize in some areas and others who don't. So if you're not getting clear communication, it's a clear sign that it's time to find an agent who values your time and goals and move on to a different agent. Okay, next you want to be cautious of lengthy agreements with potentially hidden costs when working with an agent. So new regulations require that written agreements happen between buyers and their agents, which specify agent fees, the relationship, working timeline, how long you're actually be working with your agent, and how your agent is going to get paid. And typically your agent's commission, which is usually 3% of the purchase price, tends to come from the seller traditionally, so that you don't pay anything out of pocket for that agent. However, some agreements include a clause stating that if the seller refuses to pay this, you could be responsible for covering that 3% upfront out of pocket. And additionally, you want to watch out for any fees like admin fees or transaction fees added on top of the commission. These charges often go beyond what's necessary for the agent to do their job. If they're getting paid 3% already from the seller, it's very unlikely that they need extra commission hidden as an admin fee or a transaction fee to make that work. So the solution here is you want to review any agreements carefully before you sign. Signing an agency agreement with an agent is something that you're going to have to do to start looking at homes, and it's not bad at all. It spells out exactly how the agent gets paid. That transparency is actually really good, but you just want to spot things like look for hidden costs, unusual fees, ensure the contract length is reasonable. 90 days is pretty standard, but anything longer might be excessive, right? So if an agent is trying to get you into a 6-month contract and they're getting 3% from the seller and then they want an additional $500, okay, that's when I would want to start asking some questions. If things start to seem unclear, just ask questions or request changes before you're committing to signing that documentation. Another big frustration is agents who only show you homes that are the top of your budget. So for example, if you tell an agent, hey, I'm pre-approved for, let's say, $300,000, they might exclusively show you $300,000 homes. But the problem is it leaves you zero wiggle room, especially if you fall in love with the home and you need to make a more competitive offer above the asking price. Because if $300,000 is maxing your budget, absolutely. And let's say you even need to go to $310,000 to make your offer more attractive against other people bidding on that same home, then it puts you in a really tight spot. It stretches your budget when you start to see desirable features in slightly more expensive homes, making it harder to stick with what's truly comfortable. So you might be looking at $300,000, that's the top of your budget, but then you start creeping up a little bit and saying, well, if I just go to $325,000, that has just one extra thing. And if I go to $350,000, it has just one extra thing. And we're really inching up into uncomfortable budget territory. So the solution here is be clear with your agent up front. So share your preferred price range based on what feels like a manageable monthly payment. That should be the goal. And then also let them know your absolute maximum. If $300,000 is the maximum for you, don't go to your agent and say, hey, I want to look at $300,000 houses. Say, hey, this is what I want to do. For me, what's comfortable is a $275,000 house because I can afford that payment right now. $300,000 is the absolute maximum. A home priced at $301,000 absolutely will not work. So that is your absolute maximum, and then share your preferred range. That way it's more realistic and you feel more comfortable. You're not going to feel pressured into that decision. Things aren't going to slip out of your hands with your budget, and you're not going to have that first-time home buyer regret because you're not going to get above what your absolute maximum is. All right, a common issue is many agents push higher offers as the only strategy to win bidding wars, right? So when you're buying a home, you might be going up against other home buyers who want the same home. And so the seller is going to pick the most attractive offer to them. But here's the thing, price isn't the only way to stand out amongst those other home buyers. The terms of your offer can also be just as important to the seller. Factors like the contract length, the closing timeline, things like tax proration credits, even termination clauses can make your offer more attractive without stretching your budget. So the solution here is, in a competitive market, take a smarter approach than just highest price wins. So first, get fully pre-approved so the sellers know that you're serious. Have your loan officer reach out to listing agents to reassure them about your financing. Then work with your agent to craft offer terms that are appealing to the seller. Things like a flexible closing date, fewer contingencies can help as well. This way you can stay competitive without always resorting to higher bids. And I know here a lot of people are worried about cash offers as well. And I've seen a lot of times where a cash offer goes up against something like a conventional financing offer. And a lot of people think the seller is going to take the cash no matter what. Well, here's the deal is the cash offer. Let's say the home is listed at $300,000. What often happens is the cash offer tends to come in a little bit lower. So let's say that the cash offer, let's just for the benefit of the doubt say it came in at $300,000, exactly what the seller wanted. And the cash offer person says, hey, we can close this in 2 weeks. You'll have cash. It's closed, done deal. Well, someone with conventional financing might actually be able to come in and say, well, we'll offer $310,000. And at that point, if you're fully pre-approved, talk with your loan officer first, but you might be able to actually shorten the contract period to something like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Where now to the seller, they're saying, man, for about the same amount of time, or maybe even just one more week, we can get an extra $10,000 by going with the person with conventional financing over cash. So there's so many other ways to stand out with your offer than just price. It, again, can be the terms of your offer as well that can stand up against things even as aggressive as a cash offer. And last but not least, is an important red flag to watch out for is some agents focus solely on the emotional dream of home ownership. Instead of providing real professional guidance, which is their job. So this is especially common with less experienced agents who prioritize the excitement of buying a home over fulfilling their fiduciary responsibility to guide you through the process. The true value of a great agent lies in their ability to efficiently navigate the process with you, saving you time, money, and stress, all while ensuring legal compliance. That way you don't run into any issues in the future or after you close on the home. One of the most critical roles of an agent is structuring your contract offers that protect your earnest money and shield you from potential legal issues. A really great agent is going to help set up a contract that gives you contract exits. That means if for any period of time, for any if you run through the deal and you have issues, you're able to exit. If there's an issue with the inspection, exit the contract, save your money. If you have an issue with the appraisal, exit the contract, save your money. If there's other issues, they give you out in that contract. That's the value of an agent, guiding you through the process, helping you overcome some of those hurdles, not pitching the value of emotions and excitement. That's not what their job is there to do solely. So the solution here is look for an agent who has the heart of a teacher. Okay, so someone who takes the time to explain the process, the legal details, and the reasoning behind their advice. A professional who prioritizes educating you over simply selling you on a dream is the one that you want in your corner. Now that you know all of the red flags you want to watch out for agents, you also want to watch out for different red flags with the loan officers that you work with. Right here, you want to watch this video on how loan officers trick you.